Well, the Saints trade wide receiver Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, offensive overhaul in New Orleans, off the bench. Jacob Hester, Matt Flynn, Nick Underhill, face of the franchise. All right, so a lot of conversations recently about Saints possibly trading pieces or whatever. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. Take it away, fellas.
Usually where there's smoke, there's some sort of fire, whether it's made up from a whisper or whatever it is, or they heard something at a bar. But trade rumors with the receivers, how real are these? And
True, the only time really there's smoke without a fire is if you are a beekeeper and you're using the smoke to kind of disturb the hive.
how viable of an option is it for the Saints to move a receiver at this point?
I think if they got the right offer, they would do it. I just think it's very hard to do. I mean, like, Shaheed would be the one that makes the most sense to move.
Yeah, so trades are inherently difficult, and it's crazy how, I always use this comparison, but like people think it's like Madden, where you can just trade anybody for anything. People are like trade, like in the past, it's like trade Jamal Williams. It's like who's trading for Jamal Williams? Like trade random players. Like, guys, it doesn't really happen like that. It doesn't happen where you can just force trade whoever, get a third, fourth round pick, and all of a sudden you have 27 draft picks. Not the case. When you are talking trades, the two questions you have to answer are, how much does it cost? And this is for both teams. And what's the return, right? What's the trade package? I'm just going to make players up. But let's say you want to go get like DJ Moore, right? Let's say you're the Saints. You're like, we need a DJ Moore. Okay, well, he has a $100 million contract. So that's not going to work. Okay. If you have someone like Rashid Shaheed, all right, Rashid is on his last year of a deal. He signed like a 1 year, whatever it is, like $5 million deal. So that, for whatever team they're trading for, that's a factor. For the Saints, that's a factor. Chris Olave, same thing. Chris Olave is on the last year of a 4-year deal, but he's got the 5th-year option. So if you're the Saints, you're thinking, do we want to move off him going into his 5th-year option, and why? Right? Why would we move off of him? Sometimes when you are a rebuilding young team like the Saints, you want to just stack players. You just want to stack talented players. If you think Chris Olave is not a 1 or whatever, fine. He's still a talented receiver. And for a team that needs to stack talent, I do have some about just trading away your talented young players. Now, yeah, if you do get one hell of a deal, whatever. But I don't think you're going to get the deal that you think we're going to get. Like, we're not going to get a first-round pick for Chris Olave. We'll probably be lucky to get a second. All right?
Because he's got days left on his contract, and they haven't signed a new one. But I think that becomes extremely difficult, like, when you start figuring in, like, the compensatory pick formula. And,
yeah.
If you just hold on to him and let him leave as a free agent and he goes and sign somewhere, like, you're possibly getting, like, a 3rd or 4th round pick back. So
yeah.
Who's going to give you that 3rd or 4th round pick now? For a guy that doesn't have a contract, you got to go pay him. Like, it's tough to see, but, like, I can see the Steelers, like, they probably feel like they have a great chance to win that division right now. Baltimore's, done. Cincinnati doesn't have I shouldn't say Baltimore's done, but, like, they're down.
They're pretty done.
Cincinnati doesn't have a quarterback. So, like, this is absolutely their best chance to go and do it. I can see them, making a deal here. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's extremely possible. If someone offers that 2nd-round pick for Olave, I can see that happening. I think every option's open, but you do have to balance it against, again, like, who's he throwing to then?
Right. Like, you can't gut your team just to gut the team. You can't just trade away every asset and then all of a sudden you're like, well, damn, we don't have any players. And then you're kind of stuck in that world of you never have players to build on. You never have assets to build on. And then you're just kind of stuck in the mud. Sometimes, unfortunately, the best thing to do is nothing. And the best thing to do is just kind of build and keep building and keep building. If you're constantly tearing down, even if you're quote unquote rebuilding, you're still not really going anywhere. Now, with players like Rashid Shaheed, it's a little bit different because, like Nick said, he's on the end of the contract. So you have a decision point to where you either let him walk or you pay him. It's that simple. And if you're not planning to pay him, and someone does give you a good offer, well, that changes up the math a little bit, right? Chris Olave is a different story. So there's a lot that goes into this. And if you're the Steelers or whoever, and you're trading for Rashid Shaheed, are you trading for him to sign him? Because that could also change the compensation you get on the other side of the deal. If they're trading for him basically for a 10-week rental, it changes what you get too.
At that point, if you get rid of one of these guys, like you gotta make sure like you're doing what's right for your quarterback and doing, you know, if you actually feel like Rattler can be your future or Shuck can be your future, and at this point we should probably just say Rattler until we see the other guy. I mean, I think the value of that pick has to be weighed against like what it does to his development over the next few months, and does it stun it at all? And I know everybody hates Chris Olave right now, but like that's a good receiver, and if you take him out of that room, you're putting Mason Tipton out there. Like who's your next option? Like, and by the way, where the hell is Devon Bailey? Like,
we asked that question
earlier.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. I don't know what they were doing there. And if he doesn't do anything this year, like giving up a 4th-round pick for a 27, soon-to-be 28-year-old guy who gives you nothing doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, that felt like a move where they were investing in the development of their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And if he plays, you know, I don't know, whatever, the same rate he's going right now, like that's a massive, massive mistake, I think. But
yeah, I think it's interesting the way that they play, like the system and the formations, the personnel groupings or whatever. It seems like on any given play, it's really just like two players out there. It's really like the 2 receivers. Well, it's like 3. It's like the 2 receivers and a tight end. And so for Devon Bailey to really to really do something, it's almost like he's got to be one of the top 2 receivers. Otherwise, it's just Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. And we've seen that this year where it's like 40-something, maybe even 50% of the target share is the top receiver and the tight end. There's not a lot of wiggle room for Devon Bailey or Brandon Cooks or Mason Tipton or whoever to get on the field and make an impact. They may get on the field, but then you got to get on the field and then get targets. And it seems like those targets are kind of taken. So I don't know if he's going to eventually usurp Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave or whatever. And I want to reiterate what Nick is saying. This week has been a very critical, or really this season, has been a very critical season for Chris Olave. It has been a lot of drops, a lot of disappointing whatever. Now, I've seen a lot of people say, like, bench him, cut him, trade him, whatever. That ain't the move. The move isn't to bench your first-round wide receiver, you know, your young first-round wide receiver when he's not playing well. You do kind of have to let these guys get through it. And Chris may not be a true game-breaking wide receiver 1 whatever. It might not be his ceiling, but he's still a talented player that you've invested a first-round pick in on a less than talented roster. You can't bench your talented players, or you can't cut your talented players. You can't, trade them for peanuts. And I know it seems kind of weird. It feels weird, but you have to really get back a lot of compensation to not just keep him and make him eventually whatever, your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, or just let him play it out, however it goes. But it's not as easy as just like bench this guy, cut this guy, trade this guy,
Yeah, I think you have to weigh sending these guys out against like what it does to Rattler and how it maybe doesn't put him in the best position to.
You don't want to do that.
I'll get y'all's opinion on this. Like, I got a hard time believing anybody's giving up a 2nd rounder for Olave.
It's close. Yeah, right now probably not. That seems rich. That seems rich. The only way they're doing that is if they see like super long-term stuff. If they see like, no, this is a guy we're going to sign. He's going to be a long-term, whatever. He's got another gear to him. He's going to reach that next level. But as of right now, yeah, 2nd does seem kind of rich.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
I mean, a 3rd rounder tops, I think, but at that point, it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's not worth it because you need certainly something else, but it's not worth it giving up for a 3rd rounder. Right. I don't think. Nick, I want to ask you.
I'll never forget Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper said that the Bears should trade Justin Fields for a first-round pick. And everyone was like, brother, he's not, I mean, that's not his value. I think, it's just amazing sometimes, like, how the trade value or whatever just gets kind of misconstrued.
Opinion about Juwan Johnson. First guy off the bus. I understand that plays have been made, but it's like every time that you start to trust him or count on him, there's a bad play. And look, he's never going to be a great blocker. I mean, it's just not what he's going to do. It's not what he's there for, and I get that. But if he's not making plays in the passing game, if he continues to have some issues holding on to the football, all those things, like, what do you think the Saints do at that position? Could we see Foster Moreau maybe get some more of those reps? Do you think they expand Taysom Hill's package of plays? Because, like, Juwan Johnson, man, I understand, being intrigued with him, but it's like you're still waiting for that next step, but it's been a long time that you've been waiting, sitting there waiting on it.
Like you said, great guy. Not his fault that they gave him that contract. I would have signed it too if I was him. He has the 13th most guaranteed money at his position in the NFL. Yeah. 13th highest average annual value. I mean, that's what the extra is. Is he the 13th best tight end in the NFL? Is he the 26th best tight end in the NFL? Is he the 39th? Like, it's far away from the value of the contract. And unfortunately for him, that's how it gets viewed. And when you are paid that much money, and like you said, he's not a great blocker. So it's just, you're paying him to catch the ball, hold on to the ball, move the sticks. Those things aren't happening. I think it's something you got to do. I mean, it's just, that contract is, obviously there's a lot of time on it and there's a lot of guaranteed money. So he probably isn't going anywhere. So there's ample time to turn it around. Yeah. But I mean, it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. And that feels like a massive mistake. It felt like a mistake at the time they did it too. I mean,
what's unfortunate about this is that when they did the contract, the conversation was, okay, well, they obviously have a plan. Like, they obviously are going to really get him involved. And I feel like they have really got him involved, and they trust him in those big moments to make the plays. Now, the bad part is that he's not making the plays. And if he would have made the plays, if he comes down with the catch in the end zone, if he doesn't fumble, if he doesn't have drops, like if those things don't happen, you can see the vision of, like, okay, this was the plan. Like, this was what was going to happen, and I mean, I think coaches or whoever have a vision for a player, and Juwan has been in that exact moment, like in the exact moment of the vision of, like, all right, the vision is game's on the line. We throw the ball to him in the seam. He's in the end zone. He goes up, gets his hands on the ball, comes down with it. We win the game. That's the vision. The vision is 2-point conversion. He's going out to the sideline, put it on his hands. He makes a tough catch. The vision is, we're in a 2-minute drive. He's on the seam in the middle of the field, makes a tough catch, gets down, moves the chains. But in reality, it's, well, he was in that position, but dropped the ball in the end zone. Well, he was in that position on the 2-point convert, but off his hands. Well, he was in that position on the 2-minute drive in the middle of the field, but he fumbled. And it's like, at a certain point, and I keep saying this, at a certain point, the players have to do their job. All the coaches can do, all the front office can do is put them in position. And then once they're in the position, it's up to you. You're a professional football player. I saw someone saying the Saints need to fire their wide receiver coach, and they need to get a coach to come in and develop these guys, their hands. Like, we're beyond that. This is the NFL. We're beyond that part of the game. Like, conversely, no one is saying, man, the Minnesota Vikings must have the greatest wide receiver coach of all time. Look how he developed Justin Jefferson's hands. No, it's just Justin Jefferson's awesome. He's just doing his job. So it's not the wide receiver coach. It's not whoever's developing the hands. The players have to make plays. The players have to make the plays they're being put in. And Juwan Johnson has been put in position to make the plays. Same thing with Chris Olave. He's been put in position to make these plays. He's getting a ton of targets.
There's a lot of stuff like time and distance. You look at it and it's like, oh, that wasn't very smart. Like, there's been a lot of times though where people do stuff like that in the league, and you're like, that's completely like outrageous. What are they thinking? That kind of felt like one of those things. Like, in the moment, like, really, you're doing this? Like, why? Like, he hasn't done that, and you're paying like for future performance that hasn't quite been there.
Yeah, this was the risk. The gamble, the risk, however you want to phrase it, was that Juwan Johnson can become one of the elite level wide receivers. The thought was he can be, Dalton Kincaid. He can be, not Brock Bowers and players like that, but he can be one of those flex wide receiver tight ends who's a major part of the offense, who is a major volume catch guy, who is basically a wide receiver playing tight end. That was the vision, pretty obvious. I mean, he had a ton of targets first couple games. That was the thought. That was it.
It's just, it was hard to see how it would get to the value. And as we sit here now, it feels like it's going backward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, that feels like you gotta add to that position this offseason. You need that. You need the receiver. They need a lot of stuff, man. Like, it's there's a lot of stuff that needs to be added to this team. In the interim, I don't know what you do. Like, I don't know that you can really count on Taysom yet at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing too. The answer isn't, oh, well, let's just give Taysom 10 targets. It's like, well, that's not really what he does. Like, Taysom's not really. Does Taysom come down with the catch that Juwan dropped in the end zone? Like, probably not. That's not his job. His strength is not seam routes where he's getting up in the air and coming down with tough catches. So it's a totally different thing. Does Foster Moreau get more involved? I mean, sure, but similar to Chris Olave, where it's like, oh, Chris Olave, we don't like him anymore. Bench him and let's play Mason Tipton. It's like, well, I mean, who says Mason Tipton's going to make any of these catches? Like, who says Mason Tipton's going to do any of this stuff? If Chris Olave, like that probably isn't the answer. It's funny because I've said all week, we don't need Randy Moss. We don't need Terrell Owens. If you told me we had Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, Zach Ertz, TJ Hawkinson, just like players like that, just like, okay, yeah, they're good professionals, I guess. I'd feel so good about this team. Like, Adam Thielen is going to come down with a lot of these catches. Cooper Kupp is going to come down and with a lot of these catches. Zach Ertz is going to come down with a lot of these catches. And those are not like Pro Bowl, 5-year, $125 million contract guys. They're just pros who are doing their job. And that's where we're at. So I think you just kind of, right now, if I was in the decision room, I would see what the offers are. But if I didn't get a great offer, like a second-round pick for Chris Olave, whatever, if I didn't get a great offer, I wouldn't move any of these guys. Rashid Shaheed is a different story because he's on the last year of his deal. Like, you got to figure that out. And like Nick said, you got to figure out the compensatory picks. But I probably wouldn't move anyone. I probably wouldn't trade these guys. Someone like Alvin, if he doesn't want to be traded and you're not going to get much anyways for him, I'm not going to trade him. It's frustrating, I think, for fans to not do anything in these situations, but sometimes the opportunity costs and the risk and it's just not there. It's just not there. I would focus much more on building in the draft, making sure you draft players at these positions that can make an impact, and when you can, in free agency, bring in some guys who can do the job. I'm not saying this specifically, but like an Adam Thielen or but like a Zach Ertz or whoever that could potentially be out there.
I think he's got to keep ramping up. I think Foster showed us down the stretch last year. He can do more as a receiver when he has to. Like, right. I would probably give him a couple more opportunities because, like, if you're coughing up the ball in crunch time minutes, it's probably like really unfair to like recall week one that ball hit him in the hands. It would have been a hard catch to make, but like that's two opportunities to make a game-changing play for the guy that's the.
And don't forget, guys, like, I mean, short-term memory here, but don't forget the Jacksonville Jaguars game, how that game ended a couple years ago, Thursday Night Football. That game ended off Foster's hands. So it happens to everybody. And, like, being like, no, throw it to Foster, he'll come down with those. It's like, well, what about that time in Jacksonville? It's like, oh, yeah, damn, okay. Damn it. You're right.
13th highest paid tight end in the league, and, like, neither one of them happened. He literally tossed it up here. Like, that's tough.
Nick, what is and hopefully it's the Saints that signed this contract with him. Rashid Shaheed, when he signs a new contract, what's he going to get per year? What do you think? What has he deserved or earned so far?
Good question. I don't think it's as high as you think it is. I mean, it's a contract. Like, I think he's definitely a starting receiver in the NFL, but I think on a lot of teams, he wouldn't be the number 2. So I don't know what like wide receiver 3 money is going for nowadays, but I don't think it's one of those, you know. I don't think it's one of those 4-year $100 million deals. I think you're looking at high end wide receiver 3 money.
Is it this offense? Like,
I mean, let's just assume he resigns with the Saints, because I think that's what all Saints fans are hoping for. Certainly,
it's just it's tough to place it, because I mean, it's like you'll have the.
Well, here's the problem. Let's say you sign Rashid Shaheed, you extend him, whatever. Well, let's say you draft a wide receiver and you still have Chris Olave. Rashid Shaheed's your wide receiver 3, even on the Saints. Like, let's say they go get whoever, name your wide receiver. Let's say they draft a wide receiver with an 8th overall pick. It's Olave. It's number 1 is going to be the rookie. 2 is Olave, and then 3 is Shaheed. So, if that's the case, then you would hope you don't give a huge deal to your wide receiver 3.
The game with 87 yards, and then the next week it's like 3 catches for 27.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough.
What do you think Saints fans can sit there and be okay with? Like, yeah, we get that. Of course, he's not going to get paid like number 1 receiver money, but like as of right now, you could make the argument that he is the number 1 receiver for the Saints.
Yeah, but that's not conducive. That's more of a Saints issue than a Rashid Shaheed like positive. Nothing against Shaheed. Again, I think he's fine, but I don't think he's necessarily a guy right now that you overpay in this offense, especially when you're looking to add at the top end of the room. If this was working and him and Chris Olave were just lighting it up, and Olave was lighting it up and Rashid was playing off of him, and you had a great situation and Rashid's your Randall Cobb or whatever, sure, fine. But that's not the case right now. I like Shaheed as much as the next guy, but overpaying him for, like Nick said, yeah, he can hit a bomb 1 week or whatever, but then most of the time it's just kind of 3 catches, 4 catches for 30 yards, and that's it, and absolutely nothing in the red zone or anywhere else.
Saints. So, like, what does that mark? Like, I'm so curious as to what do Rashid and his agent believe that his market is, and would be okay with re-signing with the Saints?
This is the wide receivers average per year. All right. So if we go down in this world, now remove rookies, because rookies can't really count, but if you're in here, if you get to the, I guess like this world, like the Darnell Mooney, De'Ami Brown, Josh Palmer, Curtis Samuel, Hollywood Brown, like if you get in this world, okay, but I mean, even then, I'd say it's somewhere between here. It's somewhere between the Kevontae Turpins and the somewhere in this world, but it stops at like the Jerry Jeudy, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, that world. So somewhere between 6 million-ish and like 12 million-ish. 12 million seems like a lot, but I would say somewhere between there is probably where he'd be. So if you're doing like a 4-year deal, you're probably doing like 4 years, 4 years, $30 million, something like that. Probably what he would end up doing.
A couple of interesting things that, his agent is Drew Rosenhaus. Like, we know Drew's history in the league. Like, he's going to get his guys' money.
Yeah.
He just switched to Drew last year. Drew also represents Olave. So whatever he gets for Shaheed is going to get more money for Chris Olave, which is going to get more money for Drew Rosenhaus. So I mean, I don't think you're going to get the bargain deal. I think moving to Drew signifies that like the home team deal is not there.
Yeah.
Man, like if I was like the Chiefs or like another team, I feel like Shaheed would be someone I'd be willing to pay more for this team. I don't know. Like receivers get paid so much money right now. Like it's like 17, 18. Is that like the right number? And even that kind of feels like high, but like these guys are getting $30-some million now. Like if you're giving them half of that, he's probably. See, I feel like on the right team, he's like a wide receiver 2.5. I don't think he should be your 2. I don't think he should.
I agreed 100%. Is he saying 17 a year? 17 a year is. That seems like way too high. I mean, 17 a year. Like again, guys. Like I agree. I think he's closer to that wide receiver 2.5. He is not your wide receiver 2. Bottom line. I just haven't seen it yet. Not the case. 17. Maybe he's saying 17 total. Which, if you're doing like a 3-year deal, that gets you in that like 6-ish range. But yeah, it's definitely not 17. No way he's talking about 17 a year. That seems like a lot. That seems like a lot. Unless it's like a 2-year. If it's, I mean, this still isn't 17. But if it's like 2 years, $20 million, whatever, and he ends up in that $10 million range. But man, even then, I don't know. I wouldn't. If I was the Saints, I wouldn't play ball at those numbers. He's making 3 right now on a 1-year deal, right? Or yeah, something like that. Yeah, 18 would be nuts.
Be your 1.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far down the line I'm willing to go. I do have a quarterback on a rookie deal, but only for 2 more years after this one. So like the benefit of that, and really that's 1. So if like Rattler is your guy, you kind of get 1 more year on it, and like you got to pay him. You can't really let your starter go into a lame duck year if you really think he's.
If Rattler is the starter, like let's say he's the starter next year, I think he gets a contract next year. Now I don't think he gets a Brock Purdy contract, but I think he gets a 2-3 year deal in the middle of next year.
The guy. I don't know. I feel like somewhere around that like 17, 18 range is probably where I'd be comfortable being.
Fair.
All right, there he is, our guy, Nick Underhill, NewOrleans.football, joins us every single Tuesday morning here on OTB. Nicholas, we appreciate the time, and keep those flashers flashing.
I mean, I got questions. There's no way he's saying 17 or 18 a year for Rashid Shaheed. No way. I mean, I know we're like, this is like fantasy football, but you tell me I can get DeAndre Hopkins for $5 million a year, Adam Thielen for $5 million a year, Hollywood Brown for $7 million a year. Like, give me that group if I can get all of them for the same amount of money that I'm getting for Rashid Shaheed. I mean, Tyler Lockett at $4 million a year. I don't know about that. Yeah, I mean, you're making $17-18 million a year. Like, you're in this territory of, I mean, like, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Jerry Jeudy, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Smith making 25. I mean, I think like these guys, like DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman, I think they're a clear tier above. If he's slotted in this territory, like that $10 million, $12 million range, like I said, with Christian Watson, Jacoby Myers, Darius Slayton, Rashad Bateman, Darnell Mooney, Khalil Shakir, Cooper, like this seems a little bit more of where Rashid Shaheed should be. Because again, like Nick said, if Rashid Shaheed is making whatever, $18 million a year. Is Chris Olave going to make $28 million a year? Is Chris Olave all of a sudden going to be the 10th highest? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is he going to be the 15th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL? I don't know about that. I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below what you think. Yeah, it's a tricky situation for the Saints, but I don't know. I wouldn't be offloading these guys just to offload them. I don't think that's the answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.